User fees in Uganda were abolished in 2001, and so health services are theoretically free. In practice, there is a complex, plural system. Our research under Sub-Study 1 focuses on household experiences of health system during and after conflict. The study looked at changes in health financing policies and their relationship to the post-conflict trajectory. The study explored how policy changes influence the behavior of households and their spending. Special attention was paid to gendered implications of policy and expenditure. Throughout the research process, ReBUILD researchers have been engaging in stakeholders from government, development partners, academia, and civil society to ensure that ReBUILD activities are relevant and support processes to develop the health system in post-conflict northern Uganda. In February 2015, a second validation meeting for the ReBUILD project in Uganda was held with the following objectives. 1. Sharing preliminary findings from all ReBUILD sub-studies, pre-testing messages with the district audiences, receiving feedback on the various project findings, and formally flagging off data collection for Phase 2 of Sub-Study 5, focusing on aid architecture. The one-day meeting, held at Churchill Courts, Gulu town, was attended by participants who included district health management teams, health facility managers of private, non-for-profit and public facilities, health workers and representatives of selected NGOs from Amuru, Gulu and Kitgum districts. Introducing the ReBUILD project, the Uganda team leader, Associate Professor Freddy Sengova, said the ultimate desire of the project is to contribute to the development of pro-poor health systems in the country. On behalf of the Gulu District Health Officer, the acting DHO, Dr. Robert Ongom, noted that ReBUILD provides a broader package of research, unlike projects that focus on healthcare alone.
And efforts like this to understand the service delivery, especially health service delivery, is very important if we are going to make meaningful rehabilitation or reconstruction of Gulu. I appreciated that it's quite holistic. It's not only the usual scope where we tend to understand health service delivery in terms of the healthcare itself.
The sub-study sought to get answers to the following research questions. 1. What are the changes in health financing in northern Uganda? How have household health expenditure patterns of the poor changed over time? What are the implications for household welfare? How do the poor view changes in household health expenditure? And how sustainable are these strategies and interventions?
What were the research findings? From the household survey, we found of the poorest of the poor, the women predominated. But generally, many people we sampled for that category were also poor. But we also found that most of the people who were poor were not just women. They were older women and they were also widows. Okay. And yet, the major cause of widowhood was illness or death. Okay. Most of those who it was just illness, it was mainly because of HIV and malaria, but that's what they reported as people. We did not have the ability to go to the hospital to find out what was the actual death of a person. So there's a gap there. And of course others had been killed. But also the other thing which was prominent is in spite of being elderly female household heads, they still had same populations in the house like the other people. But our major concern here was, out of all those major life events, what were the main illness episodes? Because we wanted to find out, for each illness episode you remember, what did you use for treatment, and why did you go there, and things like that, and what were the outcomes. So there's a lot of data, most of which we shall not present, but basically what we saw is that our aim of doing this was to, because people cannot actually remember how much a consultation cost in 1987. They cannot remember how much a consultation cost in 86. Some actually did remember, but many do not remember. But at least by asking them, if this person was sick, what do you remember the illness to be? Where did you go for health care? What did you pay? If they can't remember, okay, what did you sell in order to pay? Okay, and it came out with different scenarios. But basically the major illness episode was malaria in all the three. It was the most reported illness. And the war period had more types of ailments reported than malaria. People are talking about body weakness. Basically, we had 76 illness events, okay, and wanted to reduce 10. And malaria came out as the big one. Stomach aches also came out as the big one. But of course, the war period has more illnesses than everybody else, okay? Yet the people felt they were more taken care of during the war, okay? So the war had more illness. But they still feel the war situation, in terms of providing for them, was better than now, okay? And we shall talk about that. So they felt healthcare was more accessible during the second half of the war, particularly after around 1998, 90, towards 2000. They say previous okay, things were not very good, but generally towards the end of the war, things were okay. And they said they were better than now. Although we thought the now should have been better than the war presented. So having looked at the event, we were interested in looking at what was the source of healthcare. Okay? The major providers before the war were government facilities and religious-based, the faith-based, private, not-for-profit kind of things. During the war, you also end up with, again, more government. This is mainly the Gulu referral. So you can see Gulu regional referral remains the biggest provider of healthcare in all periods. Then you have Lacho Hospital, which is another bigger provider in all periods. Then you have these ones which came up largely during the war and have remained now formidable providers, and we cannot afford to ignore them. Then, of course, you have government health facilities. Previous centers, there were few, but as the previous presenter said, they are now almost everywhere. So they are now also formidable presenters, which has implications for if someone wants to deal with the health center to level, what do you do when they are now one of the biggest access points for our people to get health care? But what it shows that is that in summary, in all time periods, government health facilities were the main preference for health care. They still remain the main preference for health care. Whether we are celebrating a health care market, the people think, although the health care market is there and we appreciate that it's developing, the government still has an obligation to provide. So even if we had millions of healthcare providers, let us not sit back and imagine that that is taken care of. We are development partners. You know? The government, people still think the government is the first point of call. The most preferred, the other most preferred, which are not government, was Lacho Hospital, due to its subsidized care. It had programs for children, subsidized treatment for pregnant women, and subsidized treatment for people with vulnerable conditions, depending on what the category was. Then, although government was the most preferred, the lack of facilities and medicines in government facilities forced many to resort to drug shops and private clinics. What were the reasons for the choice of facility? In most cases, it was severity of illness was the leading cause for choice of health facility. And other than that, the second most preferred reason was perceived quality of care. So people were being kept home for some time until they are really sick. But if they are really sick, then where do we go? Probably this illness does not need the health center, it needs Lacho. Okay? But for others, it was, yeah, actually it might need Lacho, but is the quality there good? Yes. It might need this health center too. But is the quality there good? Maybe it's not so good. So let us go to Lacho instead. So all those were things people considered. And free healthcare was a main reason mentioned in only 15 episodes in the poorest, in the post-war phase. And it was often for those who chose the government health centers. They said, look here, we know the quality is not good, and the sickness is severe, but that's where I can afford to go now. What were the strategies for pay? And I think for me as a social scientist, this is where one of my points of interest were. Apart from those, most, as I said, who went to government and health centers got it free. But those who had to go out, the help was largely by relatives, or they sold produce, or they sold animals. Then they did casual work. But as planners, we have to think, what does it mean when we celebrate people selling foodstuffs and selling produce, animals, in order to seek health care? Because one of our objectives, what are the implications of these strategies they're undertaking for overall household welfare? And I think all of us who live here know that the acreage being farmed is not as big as it was in the past. So if the little that is being farmed is being sold to meet a catastrophic health expenditure, What does that mean for food security? We also asked the people what they perceived to be the notable changes. The most notable one was healthcare access. With regard to healthcare access was the cost, which was perceived to be higher than any period before. Okay. To people in this room, it may look minimal, but to people out there, it was like, look here, in the past, we never had to pay for the food. We never had to pay during the war. Why are we paying now? And in most of the detailed transcripts, especially at the health facilities, that a government that's perceived as corruption, is perceived as lack of professional ethics by the workers, it is seen as misconduct. Hence, most of their recommendations end up in, we should discipline the healthcare workers. Second was the absence of medicine facilities. Because before the war, facilities had medicines. During the war, the facilities which were there had medicines. So now you're giving us health facilities with no medicines. If you bring medicines, you bring panadol. Okay? What is that going to do for the kind of ailment they have? So they said the common scenario is you are taken through a whole process and say, yeah, but we have A, B, C, D, we don't have X, Y, Z. And they really need the X, Y, Z to get here. Okay? And the third was they need to have money to pay for healthcare. And this one also comes up prominently in their recommendations later. It's good to have health facilities, but we want money to be able to access health facilities. We want money for transport, for the one parish which was part of. But largely they were saying, even if you go to a health facility, you're going to be bounced to go to another home or whatever. So as you are planning for health, please also plan for us income earning activities so that we can get money, because when we have money, we shall eat well. When we have money, we shall be able to choose where we want to go, but also we shall be able to buy what we've been told to buy. What are the policy implications? One of the policy implications I came up with from all the data was that cost is a real challenge for accessing healthcare. The construction of health facilities is widely celebrated because that's one of the major things actually the leadership in the Gulu is doing, to ensure that everyone has, or every sub-county has. Okay? And as far as the people are concerned, these were the key access issues. I know they are small, but I'll try to read for you. At the bottom where you have the biggest key access issue is stock enough and appropriate drugs all the time. It's no use coming and being told that got finished yesterday. We had it. So that's their major thing. Have the facilities, but give us the drugs. Then also construct more health facilities that are functional. They say health center tools are good, but we also need bigger facilities nearer where we are. I don't know how practical that is. Professionalism amongst health workers, because they imagine health workers are taking bribes. Of course, we did not go into detail to know when is a bribe and bribe. But some of these things are like, you know, this medicine is not here, we can get it for you. To a person coming to consume healthcare, that's it. But of course, another thing they talked about is constant monitoring and supervision of health facilities and healthcare workers. Okay? They said there was a mechanism, then they wouldn't take so long in the queues, people wouldn't be favoring their relatives to go faster, although they came earlier than everyone else. They also asked for stepping up community and village outreaches, because they said they don't think they have to put hospitals in them, but if there were VHTs that went around, they would know. They also recommended recruiting more healthcare workers to work in the region, checking drug thefts and misappropriation, because for them, not having drugs and medicines translates into the medical workers as stealing. Otherwise, where did it go? Conclusions. In conclusion, all I want to say is that war and this aftermath provides an opportunity to revive health systems, like the PI said, but the destruction that comes with war and the healthcare market that emerged after war offers opportunities, okay, to expand provision. But the poverty that accompanies the conflict poses a challenge for healthcare access. So it's very good to construct facilities, but the poverty there militates against that. And that's why people will tell you it was better in the camp than it is now. This is especially given the dependency that the camp situation created. Therefore, reconstructing healthcare systems after war should pay close attention to and be accompanied with mechanisms to address healthcare needs of the poorest and most vulnerable. Maybe what I should just add is, especially if they are the majority. It's okay if the poor and vulnerable are few. But, and we only took those 47 because the method is a very detailed one and the interviews are very long, and we do not want to stress the person.
Discussion of the presentation focused mainly on the following: why the disease burden was higher during conflict as compared to post-conflict era, reasons for the frequent drug stockouts, the need to educate on the importance of doing some things for themselves, and pushing the agenda of lessons learned in camps to drive better service delivery. There was, however, a long interesting debate on whether the cost of healthcare was higher during or after conflict and what could have contributed to these differences.
I should also add something on. There was a statement that was raised that the community was saying that they were better taken care of during the period of the war. That means they are better than today. I think that is a very dangerous statement. This is I normally ask myself, if we were better during the war, we should have actually been, probably by now, we should far much better than during that time, because those days were like in a crowd. You could not even move, but these days you can even move at night. That means you can do business, you can go to the garden a little bit earlier. But people are not willing to do those.
The reconstruction activities in post-conflict northern Uganda represent opportunities to rebuild the health system. The government and the international community have provided additional financial resources to address different constraints in the health and related systems. The ReBUILD Consortium will contribute research evidence to help optimize these opportunities for health system development.